Hi everyone. I just wanted to, I was just driving home. It's kind of a blustery day, strong wind, and it's cold for here. Well, it wouldn't be cold except for the wind. And I was thinking about my first fall in Minnesota when I was in the 11th grade and gone to school. And I remember it was Halloween, and I hardly knew anyone. Because we had moved there in the summer. I started school at the middle of August or beginning of September, whatever it was, and I really didn't have any friends, didn't know anybody, because again, this was just October, and I mean, I knew people, but nobody was really friends. So anyway, so that Halloween, got up and I drove to school in that old Ford Maverick that I had with ball tires on the back. Oh, probably ball tires everywhere. And it started snowing that morning. And it snowed and it snowed and it snowed. And by the time we got out of school, I couldn't get home. I mean, that's how bad it had gotten in one day. And of course, you would think that now what they would have done is they would have canceled school at noon and sent everybody home before it got too bad. But hey, different time, different standards. And anyway, so there was this kid named Dale Bernard, and he was a year younger than me. So I was in the 11th grade and he was in the 10th grade. And so he kind of took mercy on me. And again, I don't remember exactly how this happened, but I was invited, since I couldn't go home, to stay with him and his mother at their place in Carlstead. And again, I was thinking about this last night, actually, and I was thinking about something I hadn't thought of, and that is, had he not offered to let me stay with him, I don't know what I would have done. I really don't. I assume that the school would have had some responsibility, or maybe I would have gone home with one of the teachers and stayed with their family. I mean, I just don't know now what would have happened, or maybe my parents would have had to figure out a way to get to town and pick me up and bring me home. Anyway, I don't know. But so Dale and his mother invited me to stay with them, and she was widowed. Dale's father had died in a drowning accident when he was, I think, 5 or 6 years old, and the place where they lived, there were several stores on the main street of Carlstead, and they lived in an apartment above the pharmacy. I think it was the farm. No, that's not true. It was above the shoe store, I think, in Carlstead, and it was a huge apartment. I mean, it was really big. Like the entire store, the second floor was this apartment that they lived in. So they let me come there and fed me. Dale's mom, I'm trying to think of her name. Anyway, his mom found some clothes for me that I could wear, that I had actually been Dale's dad. I was quite a bit taller and bigger than Dale was, and so they let me stay there, and really I think that I couldn't get home for like 3 days. It took that long, because what happened was, when the storm came through, as often happens, it was a wet. It was fairly warm, and the snow was wet and big flakes, and it just snowed and snowed and snowed, and then a cold front came after it, and so everything was just frozen slick ice. And I remember at one point, Dale and I had gone out in my car. Again, this seems so stupid now, but we had gone out in my car because we had a friend, or a guy that we knew, or that Dale was friends with, and they lived out of town, and they had tried to go home. As a matter of fact, they may have even stayed at Dale's that first night. I don't remember, but thinking back on it now and telling the story, it makes me think that they did. So, well, anyway, so we drove out of town, and what they had done is they had managed to clear one side of the 2-lane highway, but the other side was not. So we drove a ways out of town, I guess, to make sure these guys got home, or see if they needed help, again, because, no cell phones. And it was cold that day. The day after, it was miserable. It was windy, and I'm sure down close to zero. And so we we drove out there and we didn't see him, and so we turned around and we started to come back, and we were driving on the way back. We were driving on the wrong side of the highway because the other side of the highway had not been plowed, and it was just slick white ice. And as we were going along, somebody else came the other way, so I had to pull over on the other side of the road, which was the correct side of the road for me to be on. And we stopped, thinking that we were going to tell these people to watch for these guys. Their name was, as I think about it, Enochson. No, that's not right. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And so we were going to ask them to watch for them in case, they needed help. So I pull over to the side of the road and I stop, and they just keep right on going. They don't stop or anything. They just drive on by. And so we're on this slick road, and I'm in this Maverick, which is a rear wheel drive car. It's got bald tires, or close to bald tires. And we are stuck on this flat road. We cannot move. We can't go forward. We can't go backwards. It's so slippery that even if we get out and try to push, our feet just slip. And I honestly, and again, thinking about this, I don't remember how we got going, but somehow we did manage to get moving again, and we made it back to Dale's house. And so in some ways, except for that, which was, again, kind of scary, thinking about these stories, there was a lot of stress in my life when we lived in Carlstead. Jeez. Anyway, so we eventually got back to Dale's, and I think what we did was we just, we stayed there for the next 2 or 3 days, and when we ate, we watched TV, we went outside and shoveled snow, and probably walked around and did things. And also, in some ways, it was kind of a nice little 3 days off. It just makes me think not particularly dissimilar to when Hurricane Florence came through here 2.5 years ago, and I and my family ended up evacuating to Alabama, where we had this nice little week off on the Coosa River. But anyway, that's another story I'll tell sometime. But anyway, yeah, my first experience with a real for true life blizzard in Minnesota, and that would have been October the 31st of 1979, which was, of course, a long, long time ago. Okay, love you. Bye.